السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
حياك الله أخي مهدي. Welcome everybody. We're here again live with our brother Mahdi Tidjani. I
Jazakallah
believe
khair.
I believe most of you know him. For whoever don't know you, Mahdi, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, Mahdi Tidjani is my name. Jazakallah khair, firstly and foremostly, Coach Kareem, for having me on. Much appreciated. It's an honor. And I have to say, mashallah, I'm very impressed with your work. Some of your explanations, mashallah, beautiful, lovely. Just as I said to you on Clubhouse yesterday, Allahumma barak. And we need that, particularly when certain arguments are thrown our way and then we get stuck. When you have the knowledge to be able to respond, very good. So who am I? I am one of the, if not the most hated person on the internet. Yallah, that's your introduction.
I saw you was writing, I piss people off for a living.
Yes. That's my bio on Clubhouse. That's basically me. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. By the way, guys, for whoever don't know Mahdi, he's a Muslim brother living in United Kingdom, and he's one of the, let's say, very few Muslim red pillars in the West. He's an American, and I'm trying to get like there with them to support them as much as I can with my weak English language.
Alhamdulillah. Hayakallah.
Okay. Welcome, brothers. Struggle. Salam alaikum. Alaikum salam. Muhammad, Ahmad Naimi. Alaikum salam, akhi. It is very hot topic today, which is men's references, because men is not allowed to have references anymore. You know what? It is cancel culture. No, body shaming, body positivity, blah 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 blah, and all of the rest of bullshit that we hear every single day. If you said I prefer this type of woman, you're not allowed to prefer this type of woman. The woman can give you a list of 100 points that what she want in man, but if you as a man say I need this type of woman, no, do not body shame her. Do not talk about women past. Do not talk about blah 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 blah, whatever it takes. So we're gonna break down this today, this hot topic, which is the men's preferences, and to be more specific about Muslim men preferences. What do you think about like this generally about this topic, Mahdi? I believe you have it in your channel. And by the way, guys, Mahdi's channel and everything like related to Mahdi, you can find him is in the description, guys.
Shukran, akhi. Yeah, what's my opinion regarding what specifically, akhi?
This topic, you see like how rebellious people become when you mention that I prefer this type of woman, or if you give the man's advices that you should choose this one. It is like taboo to discuss such things in the internet.
Yeah, I mean, firstly and foremostly, I think it comes down to one thing, and an allergic reaction to responsibility. The modern day woman, whether she's Muslim or not, and I don't make a distinction because we live in a global village. Are you not living on the planet? Are you not in this world? Okay, yes, alhamdulillah, we're Muslim. That doesn't make you immune from the influences of social media and feminism and so on. And I believe it comes down to one thing, an allergic reaction to responsibility. So maybe you've had multiple divorces as a woman, or you have a few children from a previous marriage or a couple of previous marriages, and so on and so forth. And the notion that has been peddled today is it doesn't matter what your past is. You're still just as desirable to the marriage market 5 husbands later as you were when you were virgin, never been married before. This is utter nonsense. Now, oftentimes women conflate sexual market value with personal worth. This is a mistake. In the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you could be, Allahu Akbar, mashallah. Do not conflate your desirability to the sexual market with your personal worth in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're not saying that you are worth less in the eyes of Allah, but practically speaking, you're a human being, you live on this planet. If I come across a sister who's had 3 husbands in her past and 4 children, and I don't know whatever else, maybe in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, she's incredible, and I don't take that away from her. But to me, she is less desirable than the sister who's not been married before. Why is this so difficult to understand? You mentioned the other day, Coach Kareem, that when you have to explain a simple concept, this is absurdity. Sometimes I feel like I'm going insane trying to explain simple concepts. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, توضيح الواضحات من الفاضحات. That's what Islamic scholars say. When you try to explain very natural and very like clear content, it is فضيحة يا أخي. Like why are you explaining God? Okay, the sun will rise from the east. Really? Everybody know that. Come on. I found that like very absurd. Like when you try to say when we need like scientific references to explain why is Bicker better than Thayyib,
Mm.
why a virgin is better than this is in our nature, and like the most shocking when some simps try to tell you no, it is not.
Mm.
What, really? Are we really arguing such topic? It should
I
be
mean,
natural.
I will speak to that actually because you mentioned when some simps try to argue against it. I did a live stream a few weeks ago called the Sneaky FUCKER strategy, the Sneaky Effer strategy. And it's a strategy that has been seen amongst a certain type of fish. And this fish, in order, so there's the alpha fish, if you like, and
Mm,
the alpha fish has access to many small female fishes. And then you have the beta fishes, okay?
mhm.
What do they do to try and mate with the wives of the alpha fish? Well, they imitate the look, the
Mm.
actual physical appearance of the female fishes. And he is tricked, the alpha fish is tricked into
You,
thinking this is
you
another
talk
female.
about the cuttlefish,
The
right?
cuttlefish, exactly. And this one, he sneaks in and then he mates with the females. This is a similar thing here. When you hear, whether they're Muslim or not, the proverbial simps defending this notion that it doesn't matter how many sexual partners a woman has had and so on. This is a human manifestation of the sneaky effort strategy, which is if I can mimic and identify with the same ideals that women believe in, this will make me more appealing to women. So they think, they believe that women will like them more. And little do they know, and sometimes I really don't want to share this secret, that the more indignation you can stir inside a woman, and the more you can essentially upset her to a point, the more there's a paradox, she is actually attracted to you. Why? Because you have the balls to say it as it is. So she might get upset with you in the short term, but in the long term, she respects you. Unlike the other one who wants to repeat the same narratives that she does. And she's like, yeah, you're my friend. Well, what happens when you're her friend, Habibi? If she sees you like a woman, you're her
Friend
girlfriend.
zoning. Yeah,
Friend zone. Exactly.
yeah, exactly. Okay, I prepared like some material here to talk about with several point. Uh, I'll start to explain the harm in multisexual partner for women in general. And I want to mention here like the STDs and multisexual partner for women. That is one of the topics. As you can see in the references in the description, guys, there's an article. There's a link for an article from CNN Health on October 2019. And the main two doctors here is Dr. Hunter Hansfield. He's a professor of medicine in the University of Washington and the center and the yeah, University of Washington Center of AIDS and SCD, who has studied sexually transmitted diseases for 40 years. Okay. The second one is Dr. Edward Hawk. He is a coordinator of the Center for Social Medicine and Sexuality Transmitted Diseases at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. What these two like respected doctors and or professors says, they say STDs are biologically and psychosocially sexist at all level against women. How is that? Uh, Women bear largest burden of the diseases. We're talking here about sexual transmitted diseases. Okay, I'll give you an example for what of they explain. he mentioned that there is two main reasons that make women catch the STDs more than men. One of them is like the anatomy of the private part, which is more let's say have more lubrication and warm environment with very thin tissue that bacteria and viruses prefer. They prefer this environment to attack or to replicate. So, as example, they mentioned the HPV. They said yes, men can get penile cancer from HPV. Dr. Hansfield says, but about 100th of the rate of women to get cancer from HPV. 1 on 100. The possibility of men get HPV is 1 on 100. What does that mean? Like by simple language, it means a man can have sex, for example, with 99 women who have HPV, and he will still get no infection. But if a woman have sex with one man, she is most probably infected.
Wow.
What does that give you, like from the bigger image, the bigger perspective? That woman is not designed to have multisexual partner. That's why when she have multisexual partner, the risk of getting STDs is like 10 to 100 times more than male. What do you think about that, Mahdi?
This is first time I'm hearing it. Absolutely fascinating. I mean, each time I hear a different angle of why a woman is not built for sexual variety, it just consolidates and confirms what we already know. But and if you didn't have enough proof already, this is like the seal to the deal. And again, Coach Karim is not justifying promiscuous sex. Of course, we are Muslims, firstly and foremostly. We're not saying to sleep around willy-nilly and that men now have an excuse to sleep around. We're simply saying the point that he's alluding to is that in this example, if a man were to sleep with 100 women, there is a 1% chance he will pick something up, in comparison to the woman, where because she's 100 times more likely to pick it up, she could potentially pick it up in the first instance, in the first go. And it's fascinating. Even biologically, it's fascinating.
Yeah, subhanallah, ya akhi. Subhanallah. Okay, so we do all agree that STD as a possibility to catch STD. Female have more possibility to catch STD from a multisexual partner, generally speaking, and the statistics support this claim, this pure scientific claim from these two doctors. The link is below, by the way, for the article and the study. The next point is the sexual reference and the comparing paradox, which we mentioned previously. What do you think about that, Mahdi?
I mean, this is such a great discussion, wallahi, especially as Muslims. I did a stream yesterday. Actually, I still have the article up on this screen here. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll share my screen real quick. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I'm not going to hijack this Coach Karim's live, but I'll show you it briefly. And here it is. So just scroll to the top of this. So the title of I took this. This is actually sent in to me by one of the sisters that I have on my female Patreon, sisters Patreon, and the title of the article is from the Institute for Family Studies. Is have I shared the screen? Yes, there is. Counterintuitive trends in the link between premarital sex and marital stability. And to cut a very long story short, the bottom line is this: the more sexual partners a woman has had prior to marriage, the more likely her marriage is to fail. And lo and behold, shock, horror, women who had never had any sexual partners prior to marriage were the ones who had the highest likelihood of making their marriages work. Now, in this, because this is a non-Muslim study, of course, they're talking about sex outside holy matrimony. But is it so much of a stretch as Muslims to think that even if a woman was physically intimate with a man in the bounds of Sharia, in halala, is it so much of a stretch to think that the side effects of having multiple husbands is the same. Yani this doesn't seem like a very tall order for me, because ultimately, the more men she goes through, the more experiences she has, the more likely she is to compare, the more likely there was one of those husbands who were significantly, better in, maybe we were talking earlier, maybe the bedroom or something like this. And then he prints her, womb imprinting. There's a word for it. He prints her. And as a result, she can't stop thinking about him, even when she's moved on to the next husband. And I will send you this link, actually, Coach Kareem, for your audience to be able to view. It's a fascinating article, and it goes into the trends from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and how we have basically become a more promiscuous, don't know what you want to call it, more promiscuous people, period, but how marriages are failing exponentially. And there is an intricate link between a woman's premarital sexual past and the likelihood of her marriage working out.
Yeah, definitely. A struggle here, because one of the members says about the HPV infection, Western girls will say that they are vaccinated with the HPV vaccine. Well, if that work, look at the HPV numbers in the Western world. They are rocketing up to the sky. Like I mentioned it yesterday about the results of the promiscuity, the outcomes of the promiscuity. There is around, let me remember the number, 20 million case, STD case, every single year in the United States alone. 20 million every single year. 10 million of them, 50% is in the adolescence between 15 and 24. That means in the teenage age.
Wow.
10 million new cases every single year. So tell me, what does the vaccine did? Why you have 10 million cases for the teenager? The total number is 20 million new cases every year. Why? It doesn't explain anything. Like it doesn't. Privilege that it is does not prevent the STDs. That's very clear from the numbers. So getting back to the point regarding the sexual references, uh, the female brain, how to memorize, the technique in the female brain, how to memorize the memories in general, it should be bonded with emotional key, and sexual intimacy is very great emotional key to be bonded and to be stuck in the unconscious mind. So women generally do not forget the partners, while if he was good or bad, she do not forget it. If she told you she forget it to the next day, no, she's lying. Science says no. So I do not believe what she says. She will keep it in her mind. If she's polite enough, she will never tell you that she's comparing you to her ex. If she's polite. If she's not, if you just trigger her to the certain needed limit, she will do it. Definitely, she will do it. So to tell me that previous partners do not affect the marriage stability, it does. It does. From psychological point of view, neurological point of view, and sociological point of view, we do know that it does, because she will start to compare you to the previous partner in many aspects, and perhaps one of these aspects, one of these dimension, he's better than you. Come on, you're not Superman. You're not the perfect Mr. Angel. No, everybody have flaws, and he might be better than you in one aspect that she's comparing you to. So she will start to feel she's missing that moment with the previous partner. The possibility of this high when she have previous partners. So, what do you think, Mahdi?
This reminds me of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and Shaykh al-Bani rahimahullah graded it as Hasan. And the hadith regarding marry the virgins, for they have sweeter mouths, more fertile wombs, and are pleased with little. What you are talking about there reminds me of that. They are pleased with little. Why? She doesn't have a point of reference to compare against.
Exactly.
Now, a lot of women will come back and say, oh, you just want to give her the bare minimum and she will not know what the difference is because she hasn't had any experience before. No, that's not what we are saying. What we are saying, however, is we could give her the maximum and still it's not enough. Because, like you said, Coach Karim, you're not Superman. Undoubtedly, for sure, yani you are lacking in one department that her ex or one of her many exes was better at. And according to how much you are lacking, will dictate how much of a negative impact this has on her mind. Now, let's talk about why women really get angry when they hear brothers say that it is our preference to marry virgins. Why do they get so triggered by this? Well, once again, it comes down to what I mentioned at the beginning of this stream, which was an allergic reaction to taking responsibility. Okay? Okay. 70 to 80% of all divorces in the West are initiated by the women. A large majority of those divorces are no-fault divorces,
18,
irreconcilable.
89% in Islamic world. 89%.
89% of divorces initiated by women in the Muslim world, in the Islamic world. Right. So it's even worse in the Muslim world than in the West. And the vast majority of those divorces are not abuse. She wasn't emotionally abused or physically abused or ma'arif shunu. No, it was irreconcilable differences. No fault divorce. We couldn't see eye to eye. We were like two ships passing in the night. We weren't friends anymore. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is nonsense, rubbish. Okay. But if men like Coach Karim and myself say that no, there needs to be consequences to this behavior, suddenly these sisters will no longer have that past to be able to just marry again easily without worrying about how many husbands they had beforehand. They don't want to be held responsible for their past behavior. Now, am I saying that there are not genuinely some cases of women who were genuinely abused and oppressed by their husbands? A kid, this exists. Some men genuinely oppress and abuse their wives, but emphasis on the word some. It is not a majority of men.
Not
This is
90%.
Barakallah fiqh. It's not 90%. It's probably less than 10%. And furthermore, whenever I hear a woman say, oh, my husband beat me, he abused me. I had one woman once, she sent me a picture on Instagram of her black eye, right? In response to one of my videos on TikTok. My immediate response is, and what did you do, sister? What did you do for this reaction to come from him? I am not saying he was right. I am not saying he was justified. I am simply asking the question, Yani, did you marry a psycho from the mental hospital? Jack the Ripper? He goes around beating people left and right? No. You must ask yourself, what did you do? Oh, but there's no excuse. Tamam, I accept it. There's no excuse. Still, however, Ibn al-Qayyim said, the woman with the long tongue has the short marriage. Long tongue, lisan tawil, short marriage. What did you do for him to lash out like this? And once again, it's an allergic reaction to responsibility.
Exactly. So getting back to the point, I believe like we got that point. The next one is agreeableness. I really prepared a good material here, and I have a lot in my mind regarding agreeableness. Do you know that there is correlation between age and experience and agreeableness level?
As in, we can prove this?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I know this from experience, but to be able to prove it with
Yeah.
stats and data.
وأرضى باليسير. It's mentioned in the hadith. أرضى باليسير, which she will agree for less. What does that, if you want to put it in scientific psychological term, she's more agreeable. She's more agreeable.
Which
Woman
hadith
with
is this?
no
What's the full hadith?
عليكم بالأبكار فإنهن أنطق أرحاما وأعذب أفواها وأقل خبا وأرضى باليسير. She will agree for less things.
Subhanallah.
For less over things. That means in psychological terms, she's more agreeable. And that's right from scientific point of view.
Mm,
woman with less experience, with younger age. She doesn't have that like very high standard, especially especially like Muslim woman from a good environment and good like family.
mm,
She will never tell you, I need yacht and I need a private island with a private jet with supercars with no. She's just looking for sitter. She
mm,
will agree for like let's say an average Muslim man with high moral standard.
mm,
Does he have the capability to provide the basic things and some extra things? That's enough. She
mm,
will agree for that. But
mm,
woman with vast like with a big experience with men, she's old and she have experience with she's engaging with men on a daily basis for a long time.
mm,
First of all, she have million point references, especially especially women who's engaging with men on a daily basis. She lived in a masculine. I'm not talking about muhram here. I'm talking about other men. You can get in a bank or in any organizations and see there is two women with 10 men. They are dealing with each other on daily basis.
mm.
Look at her past. She got 11 boyfriends. This woman this woman have a very high standard and less agreeable, and she's less agreeable, and she will never accept like simple things as young Bicker. What do you think?
I mean, there is a strange irony that happens with women who have gone through even sometimes just one divorce. And that is, she gets married at, I don't know, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. It really doesn't matter. And then she comes out of a divorce 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years later with 2, 3, 4 children. The requirements she now has from a husband going into her second marriage, or third, or fourth, or fifth, it doesn't matter, are higher than when she had no children and was never married before. Why? Because she says to herself, I know better now. Now I know. So now I'm going to demand more. Wallahi, I know
Hmm.
one sister. She got married to a brother whom, firstly, her family were against it. They were against her marrying this brother. But anyway, she did it anyway. For basically for nothing. Something simple. They got divorced a few years later. The story was that he abused her. Allah knows best. Al Muhim, they got divorced. The next time she wanted to get married, she said, now the mahar is going to be, he has to buy me a house. That's the mahar. And she has a number of children on tow, and she's older, past her prime, crazy baby daddy, and the next one has to bring a house for mahar. Allahu Akbar.
Oh God, that's a lot.
This is what happens. This is the strange irony with sisters who have had bad experiences for whatever reason. They tend to raise their expectation after they are less desirable to the marriage market. And once again, I remind the sisters, if there are sisters watching, do not conflate your marriage market value with your personal worth, your worth in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're not correlated. I'm calling it for what it is. Okay, I could have a car, a 10-year-old car, and I'm emotionally connected to this car. Maybe my grandfather gave it to me, and then my grandfather passed away, and I'm really emotionally connected to this car. This car is my heart. But if I try to sell this car, it's not worth £200. It's worthless, right? It's the same thing. I am not saying, and I know the sisters are thinking, why are you calling me a worthless car? I'm simply making the comparison that your personal worth is not connected to your desirability or value to the marriage market. And yes, it's a market. Deal with it.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that like very clear when I watched one of the Myron Gaines podcasts when he asked women's like generally what do you prefer? Like tell me like 3 or 4 point that you need a man,
Mm.
and you will start to hear like the numbers like light years. Really, really. I need him to have a 7 digit as an annual income. You have to private jet. You have to what? Really? Do you know that you're
Right.
talking about one per million type
Mm,
of guy? Why should he choose you?
mm,
Why? Give me one. Like your not count is over 50. like, and you're overweight, you have masculine traits, like with the bad bitch personality, quote
Mm,
unquote, and you're demanding the top 1 per million type of guys, why do you think you deserve that?
mm.
That's
I mean,
delusion.
it is delusion in the extreme. The only thing I will say about that podcast is that they are based out of Miami, and hypergamy is on steroids in Miami. And I know this even from first-hand experience, having had a number of sisters on my own podcast now. And a lot of the sisters still have high standards. They don't, for the most part, they don't want an average brother. They want an above average brother, but not to that level. So they're still looking for, the standout top tier brothers, but not to that level of, he has to earn a million a year and so on.
Exactly, exactly. We call it istihqaqiyya in Arabic.
What does this mean?
Is- Istihqaqiyya, which is when a woman think that she deserve a lot, she had inflated ego.
Mm,
Yeah. Okay. The next point is the sexual past and marriage stability. And here, I know you previously mentioned one of the study, and I want to mention another one. I believe it is a study for Dr. Nicholas Walfinger. He's a sociologist at the University of Utah. He did the analysis on a data during 30 year of married couples in the United States. So he said, literally, I'm quoting here, the lowest odds of marital happiness, about 13%, 13 percentage point lower than the one partner woman
mm-hmm,
belong to women who have the 6 to 10 sexual partner in their life. So who have more 6 to 10, it is a big number,
mm,
6 to 10, like according to the sample, 6 to 10 is the highest one.
mm,
6 to 10, they have the highest percentage of being divorced. Okay, and he says for men there is still a dip in marital satisfaction after one partner, but it is never as low as it gets for women. He
mm-hmm,
said the multisexual partner does not affect men as it affects women in
mm,
the marriage stability and satisfaction and happiness.
mm,
So it is very clear here. He said Dr. Wolfinger found that women with zero or one previous sex partner before marriage were also least likely to divorce. Do you know what does he mean by zero or one? Zero, he
mm-hmm,
means virgins.
mm,
Exactly, he means virgins. And he mentioned that by the 2010, he write just 5% of the new brides were virgin. And he said the divorce proof brides are an exclusive crew. And he says those virgins, which is 5% of the whole sample during
mm,
30 year, this 5% have the lowest probability to get divorced and highest satisfaction and well-being
Subhanallah.
and happiness.
Subhanallah. It's heavy, man. And I know a lot of the sisters will watch this and think, oh, look at you, childish man, just talking about your virgins. You need to be more realistic. Really, sister. Yani, because we are asking for something that should be a given, a basic, and yet you want to shame us by accepting a lower standard by on the premise of being more realistic. No, perhaps you guys need to up your standards. Perhaps you guys, once again, it comes down to an allergic reaction to responsibility, to holding yourselves accountable. And you know what? I don't even talk to the sisters who are already divorced. When I speak, I'm speaking to the younger girls who are watching this. And I want you younger girls to know unequivocally, make no mistake about it. Don't let any of these older sisters who have been divorced multiple times, and some of them might even be your mothers, don't let any of them fool you into thinking that it's okay to go from one husband to the next and you are just as desirable to men as when you had never been married before. This is a lie, an outright lie that goes against the fitrah of a man, and we're telling you it. So I'm speaking to you sisters, you young girls who've never been married before. Make no mistake, your desirability to men is more so than a woman who has been married before and or has children.
Thank you, brother Yusuf, for the super sticker $9. You're one of the greatest supporters in our channel.
Habibi Yusuf.
I appreciate it, Yusuf. Yusuf actually is very active in a clubhouse.
Yes, he
I
is.
believe you know him.
Yes, we speak a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what does science say about multisexual partner? He supports the same claim. The most pure, most innocent women will have most stable and happy and satisfaction in marriage in the future. That's what science says. So, okay,
And
6% of the virgins' marriage were dissolved with 5 year. Only 6%. The other women with like not non-virgins, they
mhm.
have 20%.
Mm.
Around four times more will like the marriage will be dissolved. Four
And
times more.
yeah, it's heavy. It's heavy.
Yeah.
And look, I know I've been accused of this in the past. Oh, Mahdi, but if you tell the brothers this secret, as if it's a secret, wallahi, and we're explaining common sense. But anyway, if you keep perpetuating and peddling this idea or this notion, then who's going to marry the divorced sisters? And my response to that claim is very simple. Actually, the response is a response that I heard one sheikh. He was asked a question. He said the question was, Sheikh, you say that it is haram to own a company that exchanges money exchange, because you cannot buy money for profit or sell money for profit. So if this is the case, then, and everybody implemented this, who would we have to change the money for us to do the money exchange? And his response was, don't worry, there will always be someone willing to burn their hand for you. My response is the same. Whenever brothers say to me, oh, but Mahdi, who's going to marry the divorced sisters? My first question to them is, do you agree with my position? And immediately they say, no, I disagree with you. And I say to them, thank you. Brothers like you will never agree with me. So there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know what? Like, I prefer analogies to answer such questions.
Mm,
If we're saying that, like for guys who's trying to buy a new car, if I
mm,
told them, if I told them that Mercedes is the best, guys, Mercedes have the best quality, most reliable, best options. It is a 120-year-old company, 140-year-old company actually. They know what they're doing. The price is a little bit higher. It is the best option. So it is the best choice that you can choose as a car. So someone will jump out. Do you want Toyota to close? No, it will never close. Do you
Oh,
think
that's good.
everybody will go to the best option? No.
Right.
We're just stating fact that
Mhm.
Mercedes is better than Toyota.
Mm,
That does not mean Toyota will close tomorrow. You
brilliant.
idiot.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I like that. That's good.
Okay. The ability for emotional bonding. The ability for emotional bonding. You will find the reference here. Actually, it's from Wikipedia. And inside the Wikipedia article, you will find many references. So that's why I mentioned I let it in the description. What do they say? Uh, the topic of the whole article is the promiscuity effect on human being. The promiscuity effect on the human being. They says, and I'm quoting here. The mental health risk typically associated with promiscuous individuals are mood and personality disorder, often resulting in substance use disorder
Mhm.
and or permanent illness. Can you can you concentrate? Permanent illness. Permanent illness.
SubhanAllah.
Often, okay. permanent illness. These effects typically translate into several other long-term issues in the people's life and their relationship, especially in the case of adolescents or or those who previously pathological illnesses, disorder, or factors such as family dysfunction and social stress. What does that tell you? That tell you that exactly telling you that promiscuity, generally speaking, affect the human, let's say, mental health and personality disorder possibilities.
Hmm.
And what gender it affects more? Clearly, women. 1 in 3 women in the United States are on antidepressants.
Wow. Wow.
One
Only
on three
three.
women. Yes, 1 in 3. The third of
Wow.
women on the United States is on antidepressants, anti-anxiety. They have the highest suicidal thoughts between two genders.
Wow.
So, what does promiscuity did to them, to women on average? It destroyed their mental health.
Hmm.
It gave them a lot of personality disorder, suicide thoughts, antidepressants, anxiety, bipolar disorder,
Hmm.
uh, bipolar disorder, and other disorders that I also forget. So, does that serve women? No, exactly no.
Hmm.
And the science proved that.
I mean, isn't it so ironic that women today are more liberated, more free, have more rights than ever before? And they also happen to be the most miserable single women than ever before as well. Single and miserable. What does that tell you? The fastest way to make a woman miserable is to give her everything she wants. Give her everything she wants. They wanted to be liberated. Sexual liberation. My body count doesn't matter. My body, my choice. I can dress how I like. I shouldn't be objectified. Okay, we gave it to you. And we gave it to you. And we gave it to you. How did that work out for you? As Coach Kerim said, every 1 in 3 women, that's insane. For every 3 women you walk past in the street, one of them is going to have some type of a mental illness. That's absolutely insane. It's like Russian roulette now, getting married. It's like, the gun with the 6 bullet holes. You put 1 bullet in and yeah, it's like, but only with 3 holes, not even with 6. That's what it's like, you know?
Yeah, exactly. There is a study. It's mentioned that the study stores on my website, guys, redpillarabic.com. Go to the study stores, take a cup of coffee, and you will enjoy it there. So, meet the least happy demographic of a human being in the United States. Do you know? I believe you saw that, Mahdi, which is
Which one?
the high prime career woman, over 40, single, childless. They are the most miserable human being in the United States. The
Subhanallah.
most miserable demographic of a human being, high prime. They mentioned the doctors, engineers, and like very high, like over than 200,000 annually income. Does that make her happy? No, it doesn't.
Yeah, and I mean, and this is why I caution the young ladies, because I have a large audience of 25% of my audience are women and young girls in their
That's
mid to late
surprising.
teens. It is surprising, in their mid to late teens and early 20s. And to those sisters, I say to you this: pay no attention to the older sisters who are saying to you, I'm divorced and happy, I'm happily single. That's a lie. Let me tell you why. Because they want you to also be miserable with them. For you to get married and submit to a man, to be under his leadership and to submit towards him, that shines a bright light on their spinsterhood, on the fact that they are single and miserable. And if you become happy, that makes them even more miserable. As the saying goes, misery loves company. Misery loves company. Don't be fooled. I'm warning you. I am telling you, there is no such thing as I'm happily single. No. Even to men, we are better together than we are apart. It is even men, the top earning men in their careers, men who are the highest earners in their careers, the vast majority of them are married. Happily married or not is irrelevant. They are married. Marriage provides a man with grounding. Men are tend to do better married than they do apart. But this applies especially to women. Because why? Men have a natural inclination to conquer, whether it's conquering lands, conquering their career, and this can act as a healthy distraction for a man, whether he's married or not. If he's got something to conquer, this is something for him to bite his teeth into. But for a woman, exactly as Coach Kareem said just now, she doesn't get that same happiness, that same satisfaction from conquering her career, strong and independent, and so on and so forth. It doesn't make her happy. It's not from her nature. Actually, what makes her happiest is submitting to a man, being under his leadership and helping him conquer. That's what makes her happy, not doing it herself.
Exactly. And for the last point, which is the Bicker Thayyib paradox.
Mm,
The Bicker Thayyib paradox. We're coming here to Muhammad Hijab.
mm,
Because I heard him 2 times just misquoting out of context shari'i proofs, which is hadith or Quran, and put it in another like totally different context. One of them, he mentioned that Islam is all about equality, and what is your proof, Muhammad Hijab? He says, "النساء شقائق الرجال." The whole context of this hadith is totally something else. The story of this hadith is totally something else. It's not about equality. The story of this hadith, to be more specific, when Prophet Muhammad was speaking about ahkam al-tahara, about al-ghusl, when it's wajib to do ghusl, to be tahar again and to pray. He says. I will try to translate the context here. When a woman see her water, and I'm talking here about lubrication. When a woman see her water, she should do ghusl. As a man, if he see his water, he should have ghusl. And I believe one of the women was shocked by that, because that's like very private. But he have to say it because it's hukum.
إن الله لا
It's
يستحي من الحق.
Yes, it is hukum. She said, does woman do that? He said, النساء شقائق الرجال. What does it mean? Shaqaiq means literally brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters. In what? In this hukum. They have the both hukum, which is if you see your water, you have to do ghusl. In this hukum, they have the same hukum. That's why he says, النساء شقائق الرجال. How you drag the equality out of this? I was surprised.
Subhanallah. So that's the context. Amazing.
Yeah. And the other one, okay, regarding like تفضيل البكر, which is the vast majority or almost all of them. I never read in Arabic any Islamic scholar say anything against that. To be specific, from mufassirin, from fuqaha, I never saw another opinion. They all agree that Bicker is better than Thayyib. Bicker is better than Thayyib. And I'll give you many reasons why. In Surah Waqi'ah, verse 36, رب العالمين يقول إنا أنشأناهن إنشاء فجعلناهن أبكارا. And here in this context, he's talking about the dunya woman, the human females, not about hur'in. He says when they get the context of tafsir here, he's talking about when the woman of dunya get into Jannah, the gods reformulate them to be Bicker again.
Subhanallah.
So why, if not Bicker is better than Thayyib, why God will get them back to be Abakar?
Subhanallah.
Why? Can you give me any explanation, Muhammad Hijab? Why God will reformulate them? فَإِنَّ أَنشَأْنَاهُنَّ إِنشَاءً فَجَعَلْنَاهُنَّ أَبْكَارًا. Again, He bring them back to be Bicker, to be virgin again. And in the same context of Mufassirin and Ara of Sahaba, Prophet Muhammad said another hadith, which is عندما يأتيها زوجها تعود بكر, which is after her husband in Jannah have sexual intercourse, she will, and they finish, she will become back Bicker again.
Subhanallah.
after every sexual intercourse. Why
Oh,
do you
oh,
think
oh,
that? Why do
mm.
you think that? And Ummuna Aisha was shocked by that. She said, "Wa waja'a." She said, like, how painful is that? And Prophet Muhammad says, there is no pain in Jannah. Don't worry, there is no pain.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
Subhanallah. I didn't know
she said,
that.
wa waja'a. She thought that like the defloration will be painful again and again and
Right.
again. But he said, no, don't worry, there's no pain. There's no
Subhanallah.
pain. Subhanallah. The other one, which is the ayah, the Surah Al-Rahman, verse 56, he said, فيهن قاصرات الطرف لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان. لم يطمثهن إنس قبلهم ولا جان. Which is literally mean there is no defloration by ins or jinn before. She's not never been touched by any male, even from jinn, by any male before. And God's here is describing to motivate people, to motivate Muslim men. He's describing the high prime, like sexually attractive kind of female in the Jannah. He's describing how does she look like?
Mm,
Why do you think is that?
mm.
It is very clear.
You know, wallahi, akhi, it just reminds me, like, these are excellent verses you're bringing. And then I can't help but go back to the initial statement that you made in Arabic, and I forget it. When you have to explain something that is so obvious, it's like an absurdity. You
توضيح
know?
الواضحات من الفاضحات.
Right. Right, exactly. Fadiha, exactly. And it's like, what are we saying? What are we talking about? And all of it is to, we don't want to hurt the feelings of the women. What are you talking about? Tell them the truth so that at least they can deal with it. Because even if you are pretending that, the non-virgin is superior to the virgin, or the divorcee is superior to or at least they're equal. Even if you pretend like this, deep in your heart, you don't believe it. It doesn't work for you. So we are not helping our sisters by peddling this narrative that if a sister has had multiple marriages, it doesn't matter, it's the same. No, it really does matter, sister. The stigma surrounding divorcee sisters is real. Yes, I'm not, maybe it's exaggerated, maybe, I don't know, but it's there for a reason. Yes, now deal with that information, deal with it. And you know why I
Exactly.
want to add to this as well? Because whenever I guess this is now when I put my foot not in down the throat, not just on the throat. You know why I'm so passionate about this specific subject? Let me tell you why, sisters. Yeah, Coach Kelly mentioned just now 89% of all marriages in the Arab world are being initiated by women. You know why that's such a big problem? Let me tell you why, sister. Because now we have children being raised in single parent homes, usually single mother homes. And do you know what that means for the child? That spells disaster for the child. 61% of all youth self deletion, yeah, I don't want to say the word because it will trigger the algorithm, of all children who take their own lives come from one demographic, single mother homes. 70% of all high school dropouts come from single mother homes. 91% of all homeless and runaway children come from where? Drum roll, please. Single mother homes. Children do exponentially worse in single mother homes than they do in single father homes or nuclear homes. Nuclear home is the best. When mom and dad are together, it is the best. But single fathers do raise better children, healthier children than single mothers. Now, I'm
Higher
not saying
IQ to be mentioned. Higher IQ.
higher IQ as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
I
go.
have the proof. Yeah.
Right. And this is why I get so angry when I hear brothers defending. No, so what with the divorces? So no. We need to make this point because you know who suffers? It's not me. It's not the sister. It's not your
The
ex-wife.
kids.
It's the kids who suffer. That's why we have to talk about this.
It's the kids. Definitely. Definitely. Last but okay, I have other couple of hadiths عن أبي هريرة عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال أنطأ في الجنة أنطأ that's a question from Sahabi to Prophet Muhammad. أنطأ في الجنة, do we have sexual intercourse in Jannah? He was wondering, like, is that available in Jannah or not? He said نعم والذي نفسي بيده دحما دحما. He said yes, والذي نفسي بيده, he's swearing here, دحما دحما, which is like, yeah, repeatedly,
Mm.
like, and as you wish, like without further explanation.
Mm.
فإذا قام عنها رجعت مطهرة بكرا. And when he finished, she became مطهرة, it means like pure, so pure, so innocent again, and virgin. She became back to virgin. So, and as we mentioned the other hadith before, okay, there's two other hadith, which is hadith Ibn Jabir, Sayyidina Ibn Jabir radiallahu anh. He said, إني حديث عهد بعرس. He was talking to Prophet Muhammad. إني حديث عهد بعرس صلى الله عليه وسلم. قال أتزوجت؟ قلت نعم. Prophet Muhammad asked him, did you get married? He said yes. And what is the next question? What is the next question of did you get married? What is the next question? أبكرا أم ثيبة? Did you got ثيب or بكر? It is very important question from the context here. It is the second question. Did you get married? Yes. Bikr or thayyib?
You know, I just want to hang on that point. He didn't say what's her education, what's her, no, virgin or non-virgin. Look how it's like front of mind immediately. First question.
Yeah, first question. He didn't ask about PhD, about average income. No. Bikr or thayyib? It is very direct question. He says, Bal thayyib. He said that he married thayyib, which is previously married before. And he said, فهلا بكرا تلاعبها وتلاعبك فهلا بكر. So here he, like in this context, was what do they say? Like who explained the whole hadith? They said, أي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال هلا جارية or هلا بكر, because there's two riwayah of it. هلا جارية or هلا بكرا, to have the same meaning, which is like never been touched before as virgin. أي لماذا لم تتزوج بكر فإن ذلك أفضل. That's the scholars explaining what Prophet Muhammad means by it. فإن ذلك أفضل. Why didn't you get a virgin? Because that's better. So Prophet Muhammad is asking him, because the standard is man prefers virgin. So he asked him, why didn't you get a virgin? Like, why? And then Sayyidina Jabir explained that there is like an exceptional situation here, that he have sisters and he need an older woman to take care of them. Then Prophet Muhammad give him the blessing. So what is the standard here and what is the exception? How do you understand that? The last one is what we mentioned before. عليكم بالأبكار فإنهن أنتق أرحاما وأعذب أفواها وأقل خبا وأرضى باليسير. Most agreeable, more agreeable. And you know all of them from the first one. عليكم بالأبكار, that you should choose the non-previously married, the virgin. And he explained why. And the explanation here is real, like scientific, full of scientific proofs. It is amazing. It is amazing, which is أنتق أرحاما, means they have higher fertility, because usually Bicker is young in that era, like can't be 30 years old and Bicker. Girls will get married like in a very young age. They are more fertile. أعذب أفواها, which is she don't have فحش, like she don't have bad tongue or bad mouthing, like cursing or like very tough word. She's very innocent, very pure. Her mouth is أعذب أفواها, which is عذب. Her speech or her words is very nice.
Subhanallah.
So وأقل خبا وهذا كثير أنطي مقولتين. Okay. أقل خبا أقل مكرا وخديعة. The explanation here. أقل مكرا وخديعة. Less deceive. She do not deceive, which is makr or khadi'a. Can you translate it, Mahdi? I'm not getting the word.
Like tricking, exactly as you said. She will not trick you. She will not try to deceive you.
Yeah, exactly. وأرضى باليسير, which is بالقليل. أرضى باليسير means she's more agreeable. She will agree for less things. She will never have a very high standards to ask for. So that's a good that's a good lecture by Prophet Muhammad in very short words.
Now, you know, there's another hadith as well, which Abu American was the one who first brought this to my attention. Jazakallah khair. And it's actually narrated in Sahih al-Bukhari. And I'll just read the English. And narrated Aisha radiallahu anha. I said, O Allah's Messenger, suppose you landed in a valley where there is a tree of which something has been eaten, and then you found trees of which nothing has been eaten. Of which tree would you let your camel graze? He said, I will let my camel graze of the one on which nothing has been eaten before. And the sub-narrator added, Aisha meant that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam had not married a virgin besides herself. So she was trying to make a connection between the trees that had been eaten before, and that she was like the tree that had not been eaten before, and that it was superior for the camel to go to the one that had not been eaten before. This is in Sahih al-Bukhari.
That's a great one. I never heard it before.
Mm.
But I know that that Ummuna Aisha was bragging that she's the only Bicker. Was you know that jealousy and comparison between
Yeah,
wives?
yeah, yeah.
She we have such stories. And he said actually in another hadith, فضل عائشة على باقي النساء كفضل الثريد على باقي الطعام, which is فضل الثريد. The tharid is like it's a very good type of meat. It's called tharid. فضل عائشة على باقي النساء, that Aisha comparing to the rest of women is like to compare a fine like type of meat to other to the rest of food. So he actually mentioned that, and she's the only Bicker of
And on that
her
point, you see,
wife.
that right there, this is a hadith that you were quoted just now. This is a hadith.
Yeah,
Right. That is an objective example. You know how women get upset? Oh, don't compare me to a car, like the car example I gave earlier. Oh, don't objectify me. I'm not a car. Well, the old car and the new car. What are you trying to call me? I'm a human being. This is an objective example. Meat. Aisha radiallahu anha, the comparison was a type of meat, one type of meat to another type of meat. Yani, women often get upset with this. Is why I'm pointing this out.
yeah. We say المثال يضرب ولا يقاس, which is when you give an example or analogy, it's just for you to understand it. Like, do not take it literally. I'm just trying to explain the idea here.
Barakallahu feek.
It is so absurd, so stupid to tell me, am I a car? No, you're not car. You're human.
It's so true, Allah.
Yeah. I believe we're done here. Do you have any other point to discuss, like generally speaking, or a word to say to Muhammad Hijab
I have something.
regarding you can make a case that women with more experience is better.
I have a feeling that if Muhammad Hijab just spends a little bit of time consuming your content, my content, I have a feeling this narrative will disappear from his mind quickly. I know me and him, we share a mutual friend, and we're arranging something in the pipeline. And I have a feeling, because I've watched Muhammad Hijab stuff, he's an academic, he knows how to articulate himself, and he's not a panderer. Hence why I say, if he's saying that, he's not pandering. He doesn't pander to anyone. So I believe that Muhammad Hijab just needs to discover content like yours to be able to see properly, because this narrative has been so heavily pushed down our throats in the non-Muslim world and in the Muslim world that we come to conclusions like this, that we can make an example that the non-virgin is superior. What are you talking about? This is absolute nonsense, and this goes against every fiber in your body is disagreeing with you. And again, it's absurdity to try to explain this. Sorry, one more time in Arabic. How do you say it in Arabic? One more time.
توضيح الواضحات من الفاضحات.
Barakallah fik, min al-fatihat. And it's absurd. So Muhammad Hijab, I'm still waiting for you, Akhi. We were meant to have our podcast last Sunday, if you remember, but I'm waiting for you, inshallah ta'ala. Yallah, let's do it.
Yeah, we should do it actually. I was impressed, like with this, like 2 or 3 times I heard him, because I like to hear him, and especially in the debates, generally speaking.
He's good. He's very good. He's very articulate. He's a highly intelligent man. I think he's just got the wrong end of the stick here. I believe that's really what it is, because he's not a panderer. He doesn't pander. He does not pander. So
yeah, exactly. That's why I was shocked, like especially when he started with Islam is all about equality. And he's talking about two genders here. He's talking about two genders. Islam is all about equality. I was, what? Really? Muhammad hijab? Like, it was really shocking. It was really shocking. And how he is explain it, it is more shocking. النساء شقائق الرجال, because I know like what does that mean exactly, and the story of hadith and the whole context and the tafsir. So توضيح الواضحات من الفاضحات. Yusuf is writing it here.
Jazakallah khair, Yusuf.
Subhanallah. Hope that we can get like a good discussion with the Muhammad Hijab someday, and we explain our point of view, because it is supported from both science and religion.
Yes.
It does not contradict itself.
Yes, and mashallah, you've brought actually, I have learned from you today. You've brought angles, especially from the Quran and Sunnah, that I was unaware of. Yani, excellent. I'm going to have to go back over this live to reinforce my knowledge. So, mashallah, very well built or structured live that you've done today. Jazakallah khair, Coach Karim.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wallahi, that's an honor, ya Mahdi. That's an honor, and I hope that we can plan some more live on your channel
Absolutely.
and on my channel. Like
Absolutely.
on
Inshallah,
such
I'll bring you on
such
my channel
topics.
next time. Inshallah ta'ala, for sure.
Inshallah, bi'idhnillah. Guys, if you have any like last questions to ask, like stop debating with each other here.
Are they
And
debating in the comments? I didn't see it.
yeah, so if you have any like last questions for our guest or for me here, drop it in the chat. I think both of you should go to his show and have a healthy discussion, inshallah. Uh, I believe he do not know me personally, or he never saw me. I do not know if that will be possible. Yeah,
It would be very good. I will try to
I'll be
arrange it.
glad.
Like I said, we share a mutual friend. We're both close with him, so I will try to arrange it. It would be very good if we could get you on as well, because you have certain angles covered, and you're solid in your knowledge in certain angles that I'm shaky on. It would be very good if we could bring you on as well. Maybe we could do a three-way. That would be excellent, inshallah. We'll see what we can
Inshallah,
do. We'll see what we can do.
inshallah, by God's will, inshallah. Appreciate the respect to Muhammad Hijab, even with the difference of opinion. Of course, bro. He's still our Muslim brother, and he have like a lot of effort in debates, writing, reading, and other stuff. Like we cannot deny it. Difference of opinion does not make us enemies. Brothers, support this channel. Thank you, Yusuf. Support this
Shukran,
channel.
Yusuf
Share the
Habib.
like. Thank you, Yusuf. Thank you. Ahmed Noemi, do you have something here to add? Let's see. I'm losing the track here. Okay. Just to add to let them get the truth is way better than to let them lower their standard and get married, not still single waiting for the high value man will never come because they don't deserve him.
Mm.
That's amazing quote, actually.
Mm.
Islam is about equity, not equality. Well, depend on what do you mean by equity, because equity can mean equality of outcome, and that's no. Agree 100%. Okay, it seems to be done here. Thank you
Excellent.
very much. Thank you very much, Mahdi. It was
Thank you for having me.
it
It's been
was
a pleasure.
my honor to be on my channel, and hope we gonna do it again and again. Thank you guys for whoever been watching us to the end. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.